Welcome to Total Carp Fishing. Today we've got a really exciting product to share, and it's the Ridgemonkey Hunter 750 Echo Edition. Now, I know the 750 has been out for quite a while. The Echo is obviously the new parts of the boat. I first came across these boats when they first came out, and I didn't like one major thing about it which really irritated me, and that was the steering on the boat. It was quite sort of jagged left and right. When Ridgemonkey updated these boats previous to the Echo, they fixed that, so that query is sort of gone and out the window. Now, this one obviously we're going to heavily focus on the Echo rather than the boat itself, but there are a few key things that I'm going to touch on because I'm not a bait boat user. I don't really like bait boats because sometimes they can promote bad angling. But if you're looking for a bait boat for your UK fishing and some sort of smaller French venue fishing or European venue fishing, these are great. Spoiler alert, I've used it for the last month and I absolutely love it. I've sort of changed my angling over the last year, and these are really perfect for sort of 24-hour sessions, getting rods out quietly, discreetly, as long as you're not using them and bothering other people. That's sort of always been my main gripe with boats. So coming from someone who's never really been an advocate of bait boats, it was quite interesting for me to use it and sort of implement it into my angling and see if I actually enjoyed using it. Now, as I said, I do, it's brilliant, and there's loads of great features on this boat that I think make it not the perfect bait boat, but very, very close to being. The first one is the top load system. Now, I think if you're bringing a bait boat to market these days and you don't implement the top load onto it, you're missing a massive trick. Previously, when I've used my mates' boats in the past, you have to tilt the boat forward, feed rigs underneath. If you're using sharpened hooks, you've got the sort of chance of catching the hook on the underneath of the boat, and it's just really irritating. Now, with the top load, all that's gone. You pull this little latch up, pull that across, lay your rig in the top, and obviously, yeah, you're away to go. You don't have to close the hopper or anything like that. It's just really, really simple. The other thing with a lot of bait boats on the market, they are much bigger than this one, and what that sort of promotes you to do is put more bait in. More is not necessarily better in my opinion. With this one, it's a much smaller hopper and it's a single hopper, so just a little scattering of bait and your rig is absolutely perfect, and I think that is going to get you more bites ultimately, rather than sort of trying to put 2 kilo of bait over one rod, which for the majority of the time is probably too much. The only one slight negative about this is the hopper is maybe not just quite long enough. So I was putting a 6-inch rig in it, and you do have to sort of turn the hook. If it was maybe 7 to 9 inches long for the hopper, I understand that's quite a big change to make the boat longer, but it's just a little thing that I would point out, whereas a lot of the bigger boats obviously have much longer hoppers, so you don't have any of those issues with it. My other sort of negative, while we're talking about negatives, is the controller and the screen. I just wish there was some sort of mounting sort of clip that would be one piece like that. It does come with a bank stick mount, so you can put it in the ground, but that doesn't work everywhere. I mean, I pretty much hold it like that, and it's not the end of the world. When I say it's a negative, it's just a tiny little critique really, but like I say, overall I actually really love this boat. Again, with some of the bigger boats that are on the market, some of them are really complex. There's loads and loads of buttons to them, there's loads of sort of like gizmos and settings. I just don't want any of that in my angling. If I'm going to use a bait boat, this one is, like I say, pretty much perfect. You've got this left button, which is for the lights on and off, dead simple. You've got the outside button, which is power on for your remote, and then the middle button is the hopper release. That's pretty much it. I don't think you need any more than that. Obviously, it's got the Echo, but the Echo is more of a visual thing. There's no sort of buttons to control that other than on the screen, which we'll go through later on. So yeah, overall, it's very close to being the perfect boat. The Echo, with the price of this boat at $849.99, and that's everything including the Echo, you're not going to get sort of Ray Marine technology. I spoke to the guys at Ridgemonkey, they're aware of that. They was never trying to go for that, but it is very, very good for finding clear spots. It's just not quite as advanced as some of the newer technology, but I don't think you need that anyway, if I'm quite honest. So what we'll do is, we'll get a couple of rods out, we'll drive it over some spots. We're at Stickney Brick Pit, and it's quite a weedy and sort of undulating lake. Over one side you've got sort of 25, 26 foot, and over this side it goes right down to 3 foot. So we'll drive it about a little bit, find some spots, hopefully find some spots in the weed. And what we'll do is we'll show you the sonar, how it works, and sort of how you use the boat. Right, so staying along the lines of simplicity, we'll just show you quickly how to turn the boat on, and it couldn't be any easier, to be honest. So first of all, on the boat, on the body itself, you've got this stainless steel button. You just single press that, and then on the side you get the voltage there for your battery life. On the controller, the power button, you just long press that. All the LEDs will go up, giving you battery life, and once they're all the way at the top, or the furthest LED, you know that's on. So if you give it a quick test, you know that's going. So then the boat in the water. So as you can see, we're sloping off down to 22, 23 feet. And on the bottom of the screen there, this sort of like fairly hard line suggests that it's firm-ish silt. So as you can see, it slopes down into a big bowl. Stickney's a brick pit, so this will have been sort of scraped out however many hundreds of years ago. As you can see, there's a big cluster of fish at the bottom. I personally don't know how much I believe sort of the fish finder element on this. But for a sonar, you can just see you've got 24 foot, really flat, really firm bottom, so you present a bottom bait on there pretty easily, no weed. Where those fish are, we'll just try and turn the boat back around and go back over them again. So you see them coming back up on the screen now. So they're roughly at about 15 foot down, so about 10 foot off the bottom. So if you was to fish a zig, that's probably a good place to start. So we're just coming across the left hand side of the lake now. As you can see, it's just sort of sloping up on top of a little bit of a shelf, and we've got 18.5 foot. So it's saying the surface temperature is 5 degrees. That is obviously just the surface temperature, sort of not, it's not going to find the thermocline or anything like that. So as you can see, out in this deep water, there isn't a lot of weed at all. So you can present a bait anywhere out there pretty easily. We'll try and bring it a bit further around to the left where it slopes up, just to sort of show you what it looks like when there is sort of weed as well. So again, coming up a little bit higher, we're into 15 foots now. Just wait for the sonar to catch up. So sloping up into sort of 9 foot on the top of there. So as you can see, as we're coming up this slope, you've got sort of this section here. This will be the bottom. This bit, you've got sort of 2 or 3 foot of weed on top of this shelf there. So can be a little bit confusing to use at first. Like I said in the intro to the video, I'm by no means a bait boat expert, but this is sort of the way I've sort of worked it out in my head. Right, so as you can see here, we're coming over sort of 10 foot, and this bit here, that would suggest that that's the bottom, the sort of solid white line, and this bit of red here is just sort of a weed bed. The sonar does jump up and down at times when you go into different depths, to sort of, it will jump up to show you going down deeper, so we're dropping quickly off into 20 foot back into the bowl here. So this is how I sort of interpret it. I don't think there's any Ridgemonkey sort of instructions out there yet, but as you can see, there's like a little bit of red across the bottom of the screen there. I would sort of put that down to maybe thicker silt or a little bit of sort of dead low-lying weed on the bottom. But generally, this is looking very, very clean all out here, which you kind of would expect in 20 foot of water in the winter anyway. Right, so that sort of covers the sonar in its sort of easiest form. We're going to bring the boat back to the bank now, and we're just going to show you how to load it and how to drop a bait with it. I won't put too much sort of faith in this fish finder that you can see pinging up loads of images now in the deep water. I would just use it for a feature finder. So let's move on to the next bit, show you how to use it, and we'll take a look at that in a bit closer detail. Right, so when it comes to loading the boat, like I said before, you've got this little latch there. You just pop that up, rig in the boat, lead in the boat, and then your leader just out this back bit there. Then you just clip that latch down, sort your rig out so it's laying nice and flat. Then, as we said, in terms of bait, people do tend to put loads and loads in, but a little pinch of hemp in there is all I think you need. Job done, ready to go. So all you've got to do is put it in the water and then drive it out. Right, so I found the spot I want to drop on on the screen. Dead easy, all you do, centre button on the boat, hold that, the rear lights will flash, nice drop, and yeah, the rear lights flash, letting you know that the hopper has dropped. If it is close enough away, you can hear the hopper actuate as well. And then all you want to do is just sink your line, sort of put your rod on the rest, and then drive the boat sort of around and away from your line basically. So we'll do that now. The other thing to mention on this boat as well is that the new setting where you hold the thumb control all the way forward for I think it's 5 seconds, it will go into autopilot, so you can let it go and it will just go on the same course that it's on. You can make micro adjustments to the steering as well, but essentially it will just sort of cruise control you back, not technically autopilot because obviously it doesn't steer for you, but yeah, you don't have to hold the button up, so it will just come back to you. If you're a long way away, it'll just keep cruising back to you, and all you have to do is just down on the toggle and it just knocks the power off. Right, so that takes us through pretty much all the features on the new Hunter 750 Eco Edition boat. They're in all decent retailers now. It's worth mentioning as well, they do come in a sort of a day glow green colour and as well in this carbon fibre colour. So they're $849.99. Me personally, I think for under £1,000, you're not really going to get a much better bait boat out of it. Hopefully we get a bite in a second, as you just heard by that. But that brings us to the end of the video. For any more info, head over to Ridgemonkey's website. And yeah, hope you enjoyed.